Right. Having completed the owl himself, now it is time to engrave his little house. Okay, the hole in the tree, starting at the back on the same side as the owl engraving. I've got a large stone in the drill. It's quite rough. I mean, a lot of these stones are very similar. Depends where you get them from. So just grab a stone. You're looking for something that is maybe not quite as bright as a diamond. Sometimes they have a mixture of bits in them, so parts of them are dull, parts of them are bright. It depends as you're going along. It changes. It's got flecks in it, if you like. And I am mapping in very roughly, and here I have a rubber because I want the hole in the tree to at least have a background. So it's not a complete hole, as in nothing on the other side of the tree. It's got an inside. And so I just want to create a hue. And this is a abrasive rubber. It's not very smooth. So you can get a similar sort of effect if you use a smoothish stone and then polish it out. But I wanted literally just a hue, so I'm not even engraving with anything else there, just the rubber. So that's taken right down to the edge of the owl himself. Here I have a slightly softer rubber, and I am engraving the darkest bits. So I'm just taking away some of that hue to make it even darker around the edges of the bird. Back to a stone. This one's a pink one. It tends to have a little bit more grit in it. Sometimes it will soften a bit if you run it against another stone, and for a while you will get a softer tone. But because it has bits and pieces of grit in it, pretty similar to the white one, quite frankly. I mean, there's so many different ones. There's brown ones as well, and green ones. Of course, the green tends to be a little bit coarse in my experience, but again, depends where you get it from. Now, here I have got a great big diamond. And sorry, I have disappeared out the top, but I'm making very bold marks. This is a tree. I don't know what kind of tree. It doesn't matter. All you're doing is creating big gouges into the glass, which is bark. You don't know how old it is. You don't know how battered it is. It really doesn't matter. Back to a stone, and I'm just kind of joining it together a bit. I'm also experimenting. As usual, as I go along, I'm kind of making it up. I've done one or two of these over the years, but not very often. I mean, literally just one or two. So, and it's been many, many years since I have engraved the last one. So it's rather fun to do it again. I really like the idea of creating this hole in the glass with something peeping through. So I'm building up, still on the back of the glass. I'm creating the nearest bit of bark to him. and I'm just here putting in a darkness round the very corners, because I don't necessarily want to engrave it white right to the edge, because I don't want it to be seen from the front. It's more to give you that little bit of depth as you're looking slightly sideways on. So it's a bit of an optical illusion. And by just making a little bit of darkness, or sort of blending to the corners a little bit, means that whatever you engrave on the top is not going to be interfered with too much by what's behind it. These first bits of diamond, so basically near the owl you've got the rubber, then you've got a bit of stonework, and then you've got the diamond, and then we're going back to the dark. So these bits of diamond around the edges will stand out from the front, but they are that's sort of narrow, that they're not going to take away what I'm going to be putting on the front. Just another rubber. I mean, it's just a case of just picking up whatever I've got nearest me. Just this is a rubber I haven't used for a while. I think it's one of the rubbers I tested from Eternal Tools. So if you have a look for that video, you will see the effects of this one, and it's working pretty well. You can see it's dulling that engraving of with the diamond, and where it's touching the actual engraving, the depth of it, not much of it, it has dulled it, and where it is engraving the upper surface, that's where it's going to make it most dark, because there's not a lot of engraving there. So now I'm back to a large diamond. This is in fact a sintered diamond. That's S-I-N-T-E-R-E-D. As you know, I've used them a lot lately, and that is diamond grit all the way through. Okay, and guess where we are? We are on the front. And again, similar to what I did at the back, just great big chunky movements, making it up as I go along. This is a craggy old tree. I wasn't looking at any reference, so I was just making it up. Maybe if I had looked at reference, I would have been able to pick a particular shape of bark, but as I say, it doesn't matter. I'm just doing movements and taking it almost to the edge, but you can take it right to the edge if you want. But I didn't want to upset the edge in any way. But as I say, you could take it right to the edge. You could actually carve some sort of texture into the edge if you want. But because I'm not taking it around the side, I just wanted to finish it in the front. Now here I have got a sintered diamond mini wheel, and this really cuts into the glass. Using it on its side, on the sharper point of it, you can see it really gouges. Back to this diamond again. You can see how much dust is created when I don't use water, because it really is getting chunky. But sometimes I do that because with a diamond it does tend to come out a little brighter, because it's a bit rougher than if you use water. It is a little bit more lubricated. Right, back to the pink stone, and I'm running over the whole lot and very gently round the edges, but I'm sort of blending a little bit all the gouges as well, making sure there's no clear glass in between. So I shouldn't call it blending really, it's just randomly going over the whole top and making sure there's no clear glass. And also in places, if it does pick up some of the diamond, it will soften it a little bit so that when we get a rubber to it, it will have an interesting effect. Apologies for going up the top of the screen. That's better. Right, I have got that very coarse rubber again. So this little block has got a bit of a sort of a frame round it, in that I haven't sort of gouged out the edges of it. I've just sort of faded it into the edge. So I steady my little camera. And as you can see, as soon as you take that rubber onto the diamond and stone, there is an interesting effect straight away, which we will get more onto just now. A lot of this dust coming off in this case is in fact the rubber rather than the glass. So it does wear down pretty fast, especially when you're going over very rough diamond work. Of course, I have my dust extractor on. You can see that it has been sucked up into one direction. But you must wear a mask if you haven't got it. Well, I wear a mask as well, but wearing a mask is very important. Here I have got a large stone. This is a very special stone which I've used before, and hopefully they will be available soon. But for the time being, this is a special one that was sent to me. Because it's a lovely smooth effect, you can, as I mentioned before, sometimes get a smooth effect by running your other stones against another stone, and that helps get rid of some of the immediate protruding grit. Back to the rubber here. Have you noticed that I'm actually working on the back of the glass again? I'm just touching that up, highlighting the edge of the bark closest to the bird, and that kind of starts to bring it forward. So we've got a good 3D effect going on from the front. This, as I say, is the back. Back to the bit of stone, join it together. When I say join it together, I don't know why I keep saying that actually. It's kind of what I feel I'm doing, but it may not look that obvious. But it is literally just covering everything. And here I have a rubber again. This is polishing out everything it touches, mainly on the upper surface because of the shape of it. It doesn't really go into it. You can see I turned it a little bit there to try and get into the depths of the wider diamond work, only touching it here and there. So yeah, you can see that's quite an interesting look. It's quite intriguing. There's so much you can do with this sort of idea. Always good to keep checking on what you're doing, back and front. This is a little diamond. I just thought I'd add some little highlights. Yep, I'm coming back to the stone. Just a few effects on the inside. So clearly this again is the back of the glass and giving the effect of the wood on the inside of the tree. So there's always something there. And say we've already put the rubber, used the rubber all the way through to the edge of the owl, but this is just a bit of grading. I felt very much like I was painting, as usual, paints with diamonds. It's subtle, but very effective using these rubbers. Back to a pink stone on the front of the glass. Just being a little bit more specific as to where I soften the diamond work. And it's also very good for getting onto the edges where there might be some little chippy bits. Same as a Dura white will do. Sometimes I use that, but this little pink stone is not bad at all, I have to say. In other words, it's not that bright. It has a softening effect. A little Dura white, just to be a little bit more specific. You can't really see the effects of it now, but this is quite good at creating those darker bits. Especially on the ridges. If I feel the ridges are still too bright, then I'll soften it. Because if I take then the rubber over the top, they will become clear. Note that I turn the glass again. It is more comfortable to work forward and backwards rather than side to side. my favourite black rubber wheel because it's lovely and hard, and without much effort at all, just running it over the edges, the ridges rather, it's darkening the highest points, simply because it can't get to the deeper ones. So instantly creating a more textured look. Softer rubber, and just going over the edges again where I want a sort of disappearing look. Very tiny diamond, and my signature. And there you go. Not quite as clean as it should be, I see, but we got the idea. Give it a good old wipe. And there we have our lovely little owl. That's the back view. It's quite a thick little block, optical crystal. And there he is, looking through the crystal. I enjoyed that. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon. Bye for now.